Hello. Now we're going to go over how to prove that our students have mastered the essential learnings that we have identified. And so if I click on data prove it, this will take you to this screen, gives you a picture of kind of what that or that Google spreadsheet is going to look like. We have a publish view, and so when you're done, when you publish this is what it would look like. And so you'd have all your essential learnings up here. Student name input, not really anything you can do at this point when it's published, but within your Google Doc you can change all those things, and then every 5 minutes this would update on that published and within your school site, and you can see everybody's. Let's go back into our Google Doc and we'll kind of show you how you can change some of these things. Since this is again a Google site, it's pretty much published as a site. You can't do a lot of editing here, but you can actually look at how well they're doing or how well they've done in the past. Preferably we can look at the previous year's kids. So if I teach 4th grade, I'm going to go look in a 3rd grade, how they did on their essential learnings, maybe even how long it took them to get that, and then maybe look at some teacher notes on what worked for them, what they knew about that student. So some key things that they found out about that student for that year that might be really helpful for you. So anyway, that's the published view. I'm going to close out on that. But I'm going to go to the Google Doc view, and this is where you'll probably may have a copy of this, and this is just a sample one. This will be completely blank on your end, similar to like if I went to Essential 2, there shouldn't really be a whole lot on here. And so there's nothing that's been filled in, so I would have to actually do that the first time I roll this out. Okay, what's my Essential Standard 2? Maybe there's several indicators that I want to put in there that I'm going to test upon during this unit, and I would specify those. Remember, real quick, Control Enter, you can go down in the same cell, and so if you have multiple indicators, you can put them on different lines. To start out by doing this, what I would do is actually go to student name input. I would fill in all my names here. These are just some sample ones. And then the number of total students I have during that class period, or if I'm an elementary teacher, who's all in my homeroom, or however you want to designate that. And so whatever names I put in here for the students, that's going to copy right away into the other spreadsheets. And so those will be the same students on each of those spreadsheets. It's just copying. So if I change one of these, I could do that. Okay. Now if I go back to Essential 1, Tommy Armstrong should show up after the last one. There it goes. So that name changed to Tommy Armstrong. All right, so let's pretend I gave a pretest and I would go fill these out. All I have to do is click on the little triangle, and let's say this student, instead of beginning, he got progressing for his pretest. It took him a couple times to prove that he was proficient or he learned that. Maybe this student, which I wish I had in class, Heather Locklear, you could put advanced. Maybe she got it right away during her pretest. There's no sense of teaching that same content over and over to her. She might have some enrichment activities for that. Mike Riley looks like he took a little bit longer time to master this concept, and so he had beginning stages. Maybe the class just had to move on and everybody else got it. And what would happen after that, maybe you would find some time the next week or so, or maybe your SPED staff would come in, or if you have a para-help, they could do a little bit one-on-one teaching, and then you would just double click on here and put the date down that he did show that he knew and he mastered that skill. And so if this student doesn't master it for the time's sake, if maybe you have to move on, you can always go and double click on when that student actually mastered that, and so that will fill in green as you do that. So red is beginning, obviously, yellow progressing, light shaded green is proficient, and then if they do get advanced, they would be obviously bright green, and so that will automatically change the colors. This right over here is the student notes. This might be helpful for what worked for that student. Maybe if there's you struggle with that student and then you finally found something that actually worked, it might be helpful to write that down. for your notes, but then also for the next year. For that teacher, they can go back and kind of look at some notes for that student and draw a connection right away, and so they don't have to prolong that. At the bottom, it's going to show you kind of after the pretest how many kids were advanced, progressing, beginning, proficient. And you can kind of take a look at each time. Hopefully those number of proficient and advanced get a little bit larger as you go on, and then the number of beginning and progressing go down. Obviously, the more you teach it, the more times you reteach it, the more times you assess that. And so you get a percentage down here as well. You can kind of take a look at that. So anyway, that's Essential 1. That's what you do. You teach, you reteach, give formative assessment. If these students master that, that's great. They make some enrichment, but then the other kids, you're obviously trying to find other ways to reach them. This could be in the course of 2 days, 3 days, a whole week, maybe a whole unit, depending on what your essential indicator is, or indicators. So you go on Essential Learning 2 and do the same thing. This one's blank. So pretest, again, just start filling it out. You can change all those and it'll change colors on its own. If you ever want to delete that, highlight it, click delete, and it'll get rid of that answer or that indicator that you put in there. When you are done and you're ready to publish your Google Doc, would be your you would own this Google Doc, but you would want to publish that. And we're going to probably publish that to our school sites where we have a curriculum, and so it'll be really useful to everybody kind of see how everybody's doing and just see the progression. And then what's really helpful is the following year and see how those kids did on those previous year's essential learnings, and then also to see those notes. So how to do that, you just go to File, you go to Publish to the Web. This one's already published, and so I would just grab this link. If it's not published, it'll highlight the published button. Copy and paste that into the form that is on the ESU 15 main site, or if you're doing it probably onto your school site instead of the ESU 15. So forget what I just said, on your school site rather than the ESU one, but it will look a lot like this. It'll be on the first page, and then usually we have this post update your own essential learnings document, and that will be located right there. So hopefully this helps. Thank you for listening.